Hi, welcome to the Mindset Lady. This is the second part of how to detect deception, and in the first part we talked about verbal signs, and in this one we are going to talk about nonverbal indicators of deception. First one is confirmation glance. If a person is lying, they want to also check if the people around them is believing or not. Of course, in order to have that, you need to have more than two people in the room. For example, a person glances at a friend right before telling a story, or they glances at the second interrogator right after they finish their story to check if they believed him or not.
I didn't do it.
Who did it?
I can't tell you, but no. I didn't do it.
You were there.
I wasn't there. I've been at work and with...
Pre-swallow movement. If you're stressed, guys, there's a slow rise in the trachea area of your neck because anxiety combined with deception increases the saliva production, and that causes you to swallow.
The police are doing everything they can to find my wife, and we just hope that she'll come home soon.
As the person realizes the severity of the question, you see that swallow movement, like there's a movement of 2 inches right here.
That never happened.
Okay, then man, I'm telling you, I'm all ears. I'll take notes.
Single-sided shrug, just like this, not two, but one. And this happens when people lack confidence in what they're saying. We shouldn't confuse this with double shrug, because double shrug usually means I don't know, or I don't care, you know, I have no knowledge. But this one is much more different, and this might be showing deception, of course, if you read it in clusters together with other movements.
Mick Martin played up to the cameras, casting himself as the victim of a violent crime. But he was convicted of killing his father with a samurai sword, tying himself up to make it look like a home invasion.
All I can remember is hearing, the death of my father. It was just terrifying. I never expected that I'd see my wife or children again.
Hushing. Any behavior that covers the mouth can be a sign of deception. For example, nose itching, or cough, or just covering your mouth, In Western cultures, whenever you touch your face, it's usually comes together with a sign of deception. But also, it can be a pacifier. When we're stressed out, when we're anxious about something, we also tend to touch our face and nose. By itself, it's not a sign of deception, but hey, you need to read in clusters.
Whose side of the bed is it?
That's my mother's side of the bed.
Okay.
We're in a bad situation, buddy.
Especially when we are listening to somebody, we might cover our mouth a lot, and this way, and this shows actual respect, because this way you are making sure that you're not going to interrupt other person's story. The big leaf. So big leaf is when a man covers their genitals with their hands palm down this way. This means I'm vulnerable, I feel threatened, and I am at a discomfort. Same thing we do as women with single arm wrap like this, covering our uterus. So this is coming from evolution, guys. When we feel threatened, the first place we want to protect is where we produce. So we tend to cover them unintentionally, subconsciously, when we feel in a very uncomfortable situation, or we fear something, or we feel threatened.
As the interrogation plays out, you will see that Diane continues to show very little concern for her daughter.
Where are you a nurse at?
I work out of the house. I work for an insurance company.
Let's talk about it, because I think you probably want to talk about it. You need to talk about it because
I worked as a hiring manager in many schools, and where you can see this kind of behavior mostly is that when you are asking questions about their previous experience, and they're telling their experience in a more relaxed way, but when you ask about the reason why they left their previous company, if they are suddenly becoming more threatened, then you might dig deeper there. Maybe you might want to call their previous work and ask what happened. Elbow closure. Fear. makes us protect our arteries, okay? And we have arteries here, like where our armpit is. And in order to protect them, when we feel threatened, subconsciously, we might subtract our elbows and kind of stick it to our torso. We used to run from tigers or bears, and this was why we were doing this. We don't do that anymore, but hey, our brain is pretty primal still. Downward palms, okay? Downward palms mean two things. One thing can be authority. The second thing can be, hey, I'm closed up. I either disagree or I feel threatened, I don't like where I am, and I don't feel confident. You see, for example, this kind of behavior on the table. Some people kind of put their hand that way, or on their knees. This means stress, concealment, sometimes even might mean anger.
I need to know what happened, Kelvin. Otherwise, we're in a bad situation, buddy. I think maybe Charles did something that he wasn't supposed to do, and I think Charles dead because of that.
Nail biting. Excessive nail biting shows stress, but at the same time, you might get stressed when you're lying. Head shake. If you're saying something, but then your head is saying the opposite, then we are a little bit suspicious there. For example, oh, I love you so much. Or for example, I'm telling you, I didn't do it. But your head is saying that you did. A head shake that occurs after the speech is not a good sign either. For example, I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't there. You know, those kind of head shakes, head movements we need to look at.
I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Sometimes you see smirk in liar's face. So the smirk is actually coming from error state in the brain. So they're talking about something very sad or maybe upsetting, but that smirk is just because they don't know how to hide, or they don't know how to kind of react to this situation in a more natural way, because they are guilty and they know that and they want to hide that, but they don't know with which facial expression they can hide this. So that creates this error face. I call them error face, and like they kind of have this weird smirk.
I miss telling them, hey, you got to eat that or you're not going to get your dessert, you know, and just like you're not going to get your snack after. I miss that. Like I miss them, you know, cuddle up on their couches. It was tearing me apart last night.
Right there, I have a major problem with that. In all the years I've been analysing videos, very rarely do you see somebody smiling when they're talking about such a devastating event in their lives.
Also, not about lying, but sometimes when we have a shocking news, we might kind of have this smirk telling other people too. It's hard to explain, but your brain basically don't know what kind of reaction it gives, and it gives this weird smirk. So be careful about those smirking in liars' faces as well. And they tend to move and swing a little bit left to right when they're talking. That kind of works as a pacifier. That kind of rhythmic movement calms them down. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're lying, but if they're covering their mouth, if they're swinging, if they have a single shrug, all combined together, then yeah, you have a deceptive person in front of you. If a facial expression is lasting too long, that's a bad sign. If it's too short, it's a bad sign too. So a laugh shouldn't be like, ha ha, you know, not this short. Or like, ha, yeah. It's too long, okay? You need to be able to say that, okay, this is not natural. There's some hiding going on there. Lack of touching. Also, kind of diverting your body from the person. So if you're a liar, if you're lying, you want to distance yourself from the person that you're lying to. So either you turn your torso away, your feet away, if you cannot turn your torso away, but you might be like talking to her or him like this. It doesn't matter. You're just literally trying to stay away from this person. And the second thing is, a way of kind of putting a distance is lack of touching. If you're a touchy person or your partner is a touchy person, and suddenly during this topic they kind of stay away from you, they kind of avoid touching, this might be also because they are being deceptive. Deceptive or liar people like to put barriers between you and them, because that's easier that way. They want to hide, you know, so they might pick a pen or pencil or whatever in the middle of you, or like a glass.
Do you want to give it a minute? Okay.
or they might hide behind a couch. I'm not saying they're not hiding, but they might stand behind a couch or a chair. This is basically subconsciously done by many liars. Eye blocking. Eye blocking can be in many ways, especially eye flutter, opening and closing your eye too fast and too often. This might be a sign of eye blocking.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
Like, somebody has to come forward.
You spoken to her family, like her parents?
Yeah, they've been in constant contact, like every hour. I mean, everybody back in North Carolina. And
or looking at somewhere else, like, I didn't do this. I don't know what you're talking about. Saying something like that basically can be a sign of deception. But liars are very professional and they might keep eye contact, guys. There are several cases like that. It doesn't mean that if a person is lying, they cannot keep an eye contact. Yes, they can. You need to look at the cluster of things instead of looking at just eye contact stuff. Any trembling of the body parts, your leg or your lips, trembling hands, not a good sign. And people who are restraining their lips or hands from the sight, they also might be deceptive. One thing about the neck, if the person is kind of touching their neck or kind of, covering their neck, it can be a pacifier under stress, but also all of a sudden, if they start doing this, why are they stressed out? Are they being deceptive? We need to question that as well. This is all about it for now, guys. If you want to see more content like this, please share in the comments so that I know. If you didn't watch the part 1, I'm putting it right here. And also, if you want to check my other videos about mindset, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you later. Bye.